What happens when you give mice everything they could ever want? Not just food and water, I mean everything. No cats, no cold winters, no hunger, no stress about finding dinner, perfect healthcare, a world built just for them where every single day feels like Saturday. In 1968, a scientist named John Calhoun actually did this. He built a tiny mouse city inside a laboratory in Maryland, and he wasn't trying to be nice. He was trying to answer a question that still makes people uncomfortable today. What happens when a society has too much of a good thing? What happens when comfort replaces struggle? The mice went extinct. Every last one. And the way it happened will make you look at your own world a little differently tonight. So, how do you build heaven for mice? You start small. 8 mice, 4 couples, hand-picked from the healthiest breeding colony in America. No diseases, no defects, no anxiety. Basically the mouse equivalent of Olympic athletes who also happen to win the lottery. Their new home was about the size of a small bedroom, roughly 9 feet square. But inside, it was like a luxury apartment complex designed by a mouse architect with an unlimited budget. 256 private nesting boxes, 16 stairwells connecting everything like a tiny subway system, food and water that refilled automatically forever, so no one ever had to fight over the last slice. The temperature was always perfect. Cleaners came in regularly to remove waste. No predators lurking in shadows, no danger, no competition, just comfort. Endless, uninterrupted comfort. These 8 mice had won the ultimate lottery, and for the first 3.5 months, what Calhoun called the strive period, they just explored, picked their favorite spots, marked their territory, and settled in. They were living the dream. Maybe too much of a dream. Then the babies came, and they kept coming. In this perfect world, the mice population doubled, get this, every 55 days. Imagine if your family doubled in size every 2 months. That's the kind of explosive growth we're talking about. No one was worried. There was plenty of room. The enclosure was built for nearly 3,000 mice, so this was still early days. By day 315, there were 620 mice living in mouse heaven. Now here's the thing. The enclosure was built for 3,000 mice. There was still tons of physical space, empty nesting boxes everywhere, unused stairwells. But the mice didn't spread out. They started piling on top of each other in the same few spots, especially around the food stations. It was like everyone trying to squeeze into the same elevator when 5 others are empty. Eating had become a social event. The mice wanted to be near each other even when they didn't have to be. Calhoun noticed this and called it a behavioral sink, the instinct to cluster even when it causes problems. Think of it like people crowding around the free samples at Costco when the aisle is wide open. And that clustering, it was the first crack in paradise, the first warning sign that something was going wrong underneath all that comfort. As the numbers kept climbing past 1,000, then 1,500, then toward 2,200, the mice split into 2 groups, not by choice, by stress, by the invisible pressure of living too close to too many others. And the 2 groups could not have been more different. One group became hyper-aggressive. The alpha males started fights for basically no reason. They attacked females. They attacked babies. Some got so violent that let's just say they did things that mice don't normally do. Cannibalism, brutality, the kind of violence that makes you wonder where the line between animal and something darker really sits. The other group went the exact opposite direction. They just gave up. Calhoun called them the beautiful ones. These mice stopped fighting entirely, stopped mating, stopped interacting with anyone. They just ate, slept, and groomed themselves all day in a corner, their fur perfect, their bodies healthy, their social lives completely empty, narcissistic, withdrawn, and completely alone in a crowd. Living ghosts. 2 extremes, both deadly. And in the middle, normal mouse life, courtship, family building, cooperation. The simple act of being nice to a stranger just disappeared. It was like the whole society lost its instruction manual. But the most heartbreaking breakdown wasn't the fighters or the hermits. It was the mothers. Female mice started abandoning their babies. Some stopped building nests entirely. Others got aggressive towards their own pups, treating them like intruders instead of family. In some corners of the enclosure, 96 out of every 100 baby mice died. Not from starvation, remember. Food was everywhere, overflowing, automatic. From neglect, from violence, from a society so broken that motherhood itself stopped working. The most basic instinct on Earth just switched off. By day 560, the population hit its peak, 2,200 mice. And then, instead of growing, it started falling, fast, like a roller coaster going over the highest hill and suddenly dropping, and it would never recover. Not because the food stopped, not because the space ran out, because the mice stopped being mice. If this story is making you think differently about the world we live in, hit the like button. It helps more than you know. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe now because this is just the beginning. Here's the part that still disturbs scientists when they talk about it today. The mice didn't die because they ran out of food or space or medicine or clean water. They died because they forgot how to be mice. The last baby was conceived on day 920. After that, nothing. Zero. Silence. The beautiful ones wouldn't mate even when scientists moved them to a brand new enclosure with plenty of space and healthy partners. The females had withdrawn to isolated penthouse nests, unreachable. The aggressive males were dead or exhausted, their violence finally burning them out. The social skills needed to find a mate, raise babies, build a family, teach the young ones how to behave, all of it was just gone, erased from the culture. The last mouse died in May of 1973, 4 years and 10 months after 8 happy mice moved into paradise. Total extinction, from 8 to 2,200 to 0, a full circle, drawn in silence. So, are we the mice? That's what everyone asked Calhoun when he published his findings in 1972. The world was already worried about overpopulation, about cities getting too crowded, about the future feeling cramped. But this experiment showed something scarier than too many people. You don't need to run out of food or water to collapse. You don't need a war or a plague. You just need to run out of meaningful social roles. When there are too many individuals and not enough ways to matter, enough jobs, enough status, enough purpose, enough reasons to wake up and feel like you belong somewhere, society starts to break down. Violence, withdrawal, the death of the family, the loss of basic kindness. People sometimes look at the news today and wonder if we're watching the same pattern play out in slow motion. But here's what most people get wrong about this experiment. Calhoun wasn't saying humans are doomed. In fact, he was weirdly, stubbornly optimistic. Calhoun believed humans have something mice don't, the ability to build what he called conceptual space. When physical space runs out, we expand outward through ideas, through technology, through art, through science, even through space colonization. He literally formed a group called the Space Cadets to promote living on other planets. He believed we could think our way out of the trap. He also spent his later years working closely with city planners and architects because he believed the design of our buildings, our streets, our neighborhoods, that stuff matters more than we realize. It shapes how we treat each other. He ran over 100 more experiments after Universe 25, tweaking the design, trying to find the layouts that kept social bonds alive, even when creatures lived close together. He was searching for the blueprint that makes paradise actually work. His real message wasn't, "We're all going to die." It was, pay attention to how we design our world, because paradise, poorly designed, becomes a trap. And that's a warning that still matters tonight, while you're sitting on your couch, scrolling through a world that sometimes feels a little too crowded. We've just watched paradise turn into a trap right in front of our eyes. But this is only the first story I'm telling. If you want more experiments that rewire how you see the world, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Like this video if it made you think, and share it with someone who needs to hear this tonight. I'll see you in the next one.